Rai was a great philosopher who envisioned India as an egalitarian society with equality and liberty enjoyed by all the people. He is against the caste system, he is against untouchability, he is against many of the social evils in Indian society. In today's class, we'll be discussing Raja Rammohan Rai's philosophy.
అంతే అంత ఓవరాక్షన్ చేయకూడదు పెట్టుకొని చూడు ముందుగా
Today we are going to discuss Raja Rammohan Rai. There are two important aspects that were discussed by Raja Rammohan Rai. One is on colonialism, the other one is Brahma Samaj movement. He has expressed certain opinions on colonialism, British colonialism, both in favor of colonialism and against colonialism. We'll be discussing those things. And Raja Rammohan Rai is the father of Indian Renaissance. As we all know, Renaissance means rebirth, rebirth of social ideas and rebirth of cultural ideas. The revival of cultural ideas is called as rebirth. Raja Rammohan Rai, in fact, has fought against the social evils, and he wanted a kind of revival of Indian culture and Indian heritage, which is rich with values. That's why he calls it as India as an Oriental society. A Oriental society is a society where it has a long drawn, some 2000 years of history with values, with good values. That is called a Oriental society. He considered India as a Oriental society, and he wanted the ancient values to be revived in India, and the social evils like untouchability, caste system, they have deteriorated the Indian social system, and they have spoiled the Indian social system, and he was against those social evils. That's why he was in favor of revival of Indian culture, the ancient culture. That's why he is called as the father of Indian Renaissance. In fact, the Renaissance is a trend that has come in Europe in 14th and 15th centuries. It is called as a revival of Greek and Roman ideas, revival of Greek and Roman political thinking, social thinking, and economic thinking, thinking of culture, cultural ideas, the spirit of inquiry, the spirit of challenging, the spirit of verification. So these are associated with the Indian Renaissance. And in Europe, it has come in 13th and 14th centuries. That's called cultural Renaissance. In India, Raja Rammohan Rai is considered as the father of Indian Renaissance. India has experienced Renaissance in 14th century. And in 14th century, there are so many social Samaj movements like Brahma Samaj, Arya Samaj, Divigyan Samaj, Satyasodak Samaj, Prardhana Samaj. These Samaj movement wanted the revival of Indian culture and propagate the rational outlook among the people. So that's why it is called as Indian Renaissance. The father of Indian Renaissance is Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy is the father of Indian Renaissance, and Raja Ram Mohan Roy belonged to 19th century and was a pioneer of modern Indian political thought. In fact, he has combined both the ancient ideas and modern ideas, the ancient idea of Indian culture and modern ideas of Western education. So that's how he is brought in a kind of a new concept of scientific inquiry into the Indian political thinking, and he is a pioneer of modern Indian political thought. And after that, he is followed by Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Manavendranath Rai. So these are all his successors. So Indian political thought, the modern Indian political thought, began with Raja Ram Mohan Roy. That's why we call him as the pioneer of modern Indian political thought. In 19th century itself, Raja Ram Mohan Roy has propagated the political ideas. So that's why he's called as the pioneer of modern Indian political thought. And Raja Ram Mohan Roy was the founder of Brahma Samaj in 19th century. As we have already mentioned him, he is the founder of Brahma Samaj. He is the father of modern Renaissance, and he is a pioneer of modern Indian political thought. So by establishing Brahma Samaj, Raja Ram Mohan Roy wanted to wipe out all the social evils that are plaguing the Indian society. Indian society in 19th century was plagued with certain social evils like patriarchal dominance, the male domination. As yesterday we were discussing about Basava. Basava also wanted a kind of a gender equality between men and women. And so is the case with Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He wanted gender equality, women education, fight against untouchability, fight against caste system, fight against forced widowhood among the women, particularly in the upper caste, and women literacy. So these are some of the prominent ideas of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. And he was the founder of Brahma Samaj movement in 1828. And Brahma Samaj is one of the first important social organization in modern India that has brought in so many social reforms. As I'm time and again telling you, 19th century is a century of social reform movements. We have Brahma Samaj, Arya Samaj, Divigyan Samaj, Satyasodak Samaj, and Prarthana Samaj. Brahma Samaj was founded by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Arya Samaj was founded by Dayananda Saraswati. Satyasodak Samaj was founded by Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, and Prarthana Samaj was founded by Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Theosophical Society and Divigyan Samaj were founded by Alcott and Madam Anne Besant. So this is how 19th century is a century of all social reform movements in India. And Brahma Samaj is a pioneer, is the forerunner of all the movements in India. And Brahma Samaj was started in 1828. And Brahma Samaj is started when 19th century Indian society was filled with social divisions and social evils. As I'm telling you in the beginning itself, 19th century society in India is a society filled with many social evils, and it is also having social divisions. There are so many social divisions in Indian society. Particularly the caste system has brought many social divisions. The upper caste, the middle caste, the lower caste. Particularly even among the lower caste, there are backward castes, there are depressed sections. They are historically oppressed. Certain utilities like education and public health were not accessible to these sections. And these sections have witnessed a kind of an economic exploitation in the hands of upper caste. There was physical attacks. There was slavery in the name of, vetti chakri or bonded labor in these societies. So this is how 19th century is a society with social divisions and social evils. There was Parda system, there was Sati, there was Jogini system, there is Baswini system, and likewise there were child marriages, there were forced widowhoods. So these are all the social evils that Indian society was facing in 19th century. When we understand Brahma Samaj, we must also understand the context in which Brahma Samaj was started. So unless we cannot understand the 19th century and its social evils, we cannot understand the objectives and functions of Brahma Samaj. Because Brahma Samaj movement was started when Indian society was facing so many social evils in the name of caste, in the name of gender inequalities, in the name of tribal inequality, and in the name of sati, in the name of forced widowhood. When the husband dies, woman is forced to enter into the pyre of her husband. So this is how the forced widowhood, unforced child marriages, there were child labor, bonded labor. So there are n number of social evils that were plaguing in 19th century. So this context, this is the context in which the Brahma Samaj movement was started. And unless we understand the 19th century social evils, we cannot understand the context of Brahma Samaj. And Brahma Samaj was started in 19th century, and Raja Ram Mohan Rai has started this. And at that time, the British government was there, and British government's rule was opposed by certain people and supported by certain people. But Raja Ram Mohan Rai appreciated the British progressive outlook and enactment. At the same time, he has also, he has criticized the negative role played by the colonialism. So Raja Ram Mohan Rai's philosophy is a conglomeration of political, economic, social, religious and cultural ideas. Raja Ram Mohan Rai was born on May 22nd, 1772 and died on September 27th, 1833. That means he was born in 18th century, but he died in 19th century. And in Bengal, he was born in Bengal, and Raja Ram Mohan Rai received good education, and he was proficient in various other languages like Sanskrit, Bengali, Persian, and English language. And he is a beneficiary of the modern education system that's called as the Western education system. And he entered into civil service under East India Company as a Sreshtadar. That means he was selected by the British government, and he was entered into the civil service. And Raja Ram Mohan Rai also experienced the British colonial rule by himself as a part of it, and he has also witnessed what are the critical points of British rule in India. So now let us see what are the contemporary times of Indian society in 19th century. There were social divisions, orthodoxy, and social evils plaguing, such as sati, untouchability, were there in the Indian society in the 19th century. And all the areas, all the regions of Indian society are basically agriculture dependent society. And there are also rural traditional services like the fishermen, the washermen, the barbers, the goldsmiths, the silversmiths, the blacksmiths. So these are the traditional services, of course, which are later became the caste, and they are called as the traditional services of Indian society. So the economic basis of Indian society were based mostly on agriculture and traditional services. And 19th century society was also a society with religious superstitions and blind faiths, and people were in culture of silence. As people in 19th century were not very educated, and they did not have the rationalist outlook also. They have blind faiths, there were religious superstitions, there was social orthodoxy, there was economic exploitation, there were social evils like sati, dowry system, child marriage, forced widowhood, untouchability. There are various social evils in Indian society during 19th century. So friends, this is how we should understand the context in which the Brahma Samaj movement is started. And the political culture is a culture of silence. Now in 20th century and 21st century, people are slowly coming from culture of silence to culture of awareness. Now we are aware of many things. We are aware of our rights. We are aware of our equality. We are aware of our liberty. We are aware of our justice. So modern political values like liberty, equality, rights, freedom, justice, fraternity, unity and integrity are very well known to the 20th century citizens and 21st century citizens. So that means we are transforming ourselves from culture of silence to culture of consciousness. Now we are conscious about our culture. We are conscious about our values. We are conscious about our rights. We are conscious about our liberty. But in 19th century, there was culture of silence. People who could not know about liberty, equality, rights. So in such a situation, Brahma Samaj has started and pioneered all the political reforms and social reforms in the Indian society. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy has written so many books. These books are in the form of pamphlets. The first one is Petitions Against Press Regulation to the King and Council. That is the first book that he has written. In fact, it is a pamphlet. He has written a pamphlet that is called Petitions Against the Press Regulation to the King and Council. And second is a letter to Lord Amherst on English education. So he was a pioneer of Indian education system, a Western education system in India. So he has also written a letter to Lord Amherst on English education and the need to have English education in the Indian society. So he has also written books on so this is how Ram Mohan Roy has written so many books. Among his books, there is one book written in Urdu on monotheism. What do you mean by monotheism? Hello?
Sir.
What do you mean by monotheism? Have you heard the word monotheism?
Believe in one God, sir.
Yeah, believing that only one God is there. So that is called as monotheism. Against this, some people believe in many gods. That people believing in many gods is known as
polytheism.
Polytheism. Polytheism. So monotheism and polytheism. Monotheism means there is only one God. So all the religions need to have only one God. So that is monotheism. And Raja Ram Mohan Roy is a strong believer of monotheism. He has written a book on monotheism in Tuhfat ul Muwahhidin. That is the book written in Urdu. So that is the book that is written. And he has also written Vedanta Sutra. And he has also written a tract on Hindu religious toleration. And he has also written a book on rights of Hindus for ancestral property. So these are some of the writings of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. And Raja Ram Mohan Roy's method of inquiry, the philosophy, he used mostly historical method with scientific materialism. In fact, the historical method is used by so many philosophers like Niccolo Machiavelli, John Locke, and others have used this method. And Raja Ram Mohan Roy, in all his writings, he has made analogies with history. He made comparison with the present situation with historical conditions, and he drew conclusions. So he used historical method, and he mixed it with he combined with scientific materialism. And Raja Ram Mohan Roy views on colonialism are both positive and negative. So there are divergent views. On the one hand, he supported colonialism for their progressive legislations. On the other hand, he was critical of colonialism. On positive aspects, he has supported colonialism for their social reform. In fact, the Britishers have brought have abolished the sati system. They have abolished the forced womanhood. They have abolished the child marriages. So these are all the progressive reforms, progressive laws passed by the British government. So Raja Rammohun Roy supported colonialism in progressive legislations, but he was also critical of colonialism because colonialism and British government has not allowed the Indians freedom of speech and freedom of expression. So his views on colonialism are divergent, both positive views and negative views. You please tell me what are the positive views of Raja Rammohun Roy on colonialism? Hello?
Sir,
What are the positive views expressed by Raja Rammohun Roy on colonialism and colonial government?
sir, the education system, sir.
Yeah, education system.
Education system and the
Yeah,
sati
Britishers have introduced
abo-
Western education system in India,
and abolition of sati.
abolition of sati.
Uh,
They have introduced certain progressive legislations in India. So on these aspects, he supported the British government. On certain aspects, he opposed the British government. What are those aspects? He was very critical of British government on certain points because the Britishers have not allowed freedom of press or political rights to Indian citizens. They have not given independence to India, and political rights of the people are denied. So these are the negative points on which Raja Rammohun Roy was critical of the British government. So his views on colonial government, British colonial government, are divergent, both positive views and also negative views. So this is one important unique character of Raja Rammohun Roy, one must understand. And after that, in support of colonialism, British rule in India is a blessing according to him because the British rule has brought in the Western education system, as you have rightly pointed out. And secondly, the colonial rule initiated modernization and industrialization. British colonialism has introduced uh, modernization and industrialization in Indian society. That's why he supported it. And colonialism, colonial rule expedited progressive reform. It has expedited means it has introduced certain progressive legislation, abolishing sati, abolishing the child marriages, and insisting on women education, the laws pertaining to women education, laws pertaining to the establishment of women's schools, women education institutions, and likewise the laws prohibiting the sati sagaman. So these are all the progressive legislations. So when British rule introduced the progressive reforms, Raja Rammohun Roy supported it, and colonial rule was appreciated for its English education. In fact, many of our scholars have appreciated the British government for bringing the Western education system and in English education. And with this English education, we come to know about the political values like liberty, equality, justice, rights, fraternity, unity and integrity, secularism. So these are the Western values that we come to know about from the Western education. So Western education is a blessing to India, according to Raja Rammohun Roy, because Indians could educate ourselves on political values, liberty, equality, freedom, justice, rights, unity and integrity, secularism. So these are some of the political values that Western education system has brought to Indian education system, Indian society. So that's why in this aspect, Raja Rammohun Roy was in support of it. Chapranama. Hello? Hello?
sir,
What are the points on which Raja Rammohun Roy supported the British government?
sir, colonial rule initiated modernizations and industrialization.
Industrialization, okay,
Colonial rule expanded progressive reform
right,
and appreciated for English education.
Right, right. So these are all the positive points for which Raja Ram Mohan Roy has supported the British colonial rule. But he is not completely supporting Britishers.
Yes, sir.
He is against to British policy of repression, and he is against to the racial arrogance of Britishers, and he is also against to religious conversions. Hinduism converted into Islam, or Hindus converted into Christianity. So these are the conversions, religious conversions. So he is against to the religious conversions from Hinduism to Christianity. And he is also against to the administrative apathy, administrative negligence of the Britishers. When there is a Bengal famine where lakhs of people were dying in Bengal, Orissa and other places, the British government has not supported the people. They simply collected the taxes, but they have not done any welfare to the people. So this is how there is administrative negligence in their government, in their administration. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy opposed this administrative apathy. So he was very critical of colonialism because the colonial government arrested Indian people. The colonial government has not allowed Indians to enjoy their rights. It has resorted to repression, and all the British colonial officers or the British leaders were racially arrogant. They think that they are only white people and white people only have intelligence, and black people like Indians or brown people do not have intelligence, and so this is how that racial arrogance is there. And when they tried to convert Indians into Christianity, Raja Ram Mohan Roy opposed this religious conversions. And likewise, Raja Ram Mohan Roy was criticizing the British government for its administrative apathy, its administrative negligence. So these are the points on which Raja Ram Mohan Roy was critical of British government. But his criticism against British government is not total. On some points he was criticizing, and on some points he was appreciating the British government. Hello? Please mute your systems, Babu. Please stop your crosstalk. Mute your systems. Raja Ram Mohan Roy is labeled as the father of Indian liberalism. He is, in fact, right of women to freedom, freedom of press, and constitutional agitation. So these are some of the. Raja Ram Mohan Roy has divergent views on colonialism, as I have told you. He, on the one hand, he supported the British government. On the other hand, he opposed it. What are the point on which he has opposed the British government? Sweta Garu? Hello? Hello?
Sir, cheppan sir. Hello.
What are the points on which Raja Ram Mohan Roy opposed the British government?
Sir, repression,
racial arrogance, religious
conversion, administrative apathy. Religious in administration.
So, yeah, these are the views. These are the points on which he opposed the British government.
Yes, sir.
So that means he has supported the British government on certain points, and he opposed the British government on certain other points. So he was not totally on one stand. Sometimes he opposed it, and sometimes he supported the British government. This we have to understand. And he is also called as the father of Indian liberalism. And he is the supporter of constitutional agitation. And he wanted the right of women to freedom. And he also wanted the freedom of press in India. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy is in favor of the constitutional agitation, a right of freedom, right of women to freedom, and freedom of press. And he is, as a father of Indian Renaissance, he glorified the Indian heritage. India has a society with almost 3,000 years of history, right from Indus Valley civilizations to ancient period, where the Gupta's period is considered as the golden age of Indian history. And in the medieval period, we have so many kingdoms. And in the modern period also, we have the Mughal rule. So this is how India has a rich heritage, rich culture, rich history, and it has a value system. India has a value system, and due to all these things, he calls Indian society as a society with a rich heritage. And he glorified the Indian society. He always glorified the Indian society, and he was in praise of Indian society. At the same time, he is critical of Indian social evils. He wanted social reform. So, and he has started Brahma Samaj movement in 1828. Now let us see what are the objectives of Brahma Samaj movement. As I have told you in the beginning itself, he has started the Brahma Samaj movement. Brahma Samaj is one social reform organization that was started in 1828 by Raja Ram Mohan Roy in Bengal, and later it spread into all the various other states of India. And it is started with certain objectives and functions. Brahma Samaj movement was started in the context of Indian society having social divisions and racial arrogance by upper caste, and there were social evils like untouchability, inequality, gender inequalities in the society. There was economic exploitation. There were social oppression like sati. There was forced child marriages, forced widowhood. So these are all the social evils that were plaguing the Indian society in 19th century. So in that context, Brahma Samaj movement was started. Now let us see what are the objectives of Brahma Samaj movement. The objectives of Brahma Samaj movement is to accept secular principles. Accepting secular principles is one of the major objectives of Brahma Samaj. What do you mean by secularism? Secularism means separating religion and politics, separating religion and administration is called as secularism. So, in the event of administration, religion should not be a hurdle. So, all people should be given welfare irrespective of their religion. And all people should be respected irrespective of their religion. So, this is called as secularism. Secularism separates religion and politics, religion and administration. And it brings the idea that all religions are one and all religions should be given equal respect. So this is how Raja Ram Mohan Roy has established Brahma Samaj with certain objectives, and one of these objectives is accept secular principles. The second important objective of Brahma Samaj, according to Raja Ram Mohan Roy, is denounce polytheism and idol worship. As I have told you in the beginning itself, what do you mean by polytheism? Hello?
Sir, believing in so many gods, sir.
Yeah, believing in many gods is
Many
called
gods.
polytheism.
Polytheism.
Yeah. What is idol worship?
Idol worship means worshipping rocks,
A statue.
a statue.
Worshipping a statue.
sir.
Worshipping a statue or a picture is called as idol worship.
Worship.
So he is against polytheism and idol worship. In fact, Brahma Samaj has an objective of denouncing polytheism and idol worship. This is the second important objective of Brahma Samaj. And Brahma Samaj opposes the caste restrictions. It is opposed to the restrictions of the caste. In fact, every caste restricts its members not to have common dining, interdining among all the castes and inter-caste marriages. So these are the caste restrictions that were put forth by Manusmriti. So the ancient Manu or Manusmriti has categorically stated that Indian need to have Varnashram Dharma and Varna Dharma, the Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra communities having their own sects and subsects, and they need to maintain the Varna Dharma according to Manu. But Brahma Samaj is against to caste restrictions. It wanted inter-caste dining, it wanted inter-caste marriages. So the caste restrictions, putting limitations on the behavior of the citizens, is opposed by Brahma Samaj. So this is also an important objective of Brahma Samaj. And fourthly, Brahma Samaj opposed the social evils like sati, dowry, parda system, child marriages, polygamy, female infanticide, and various other things. So that means the 19th century Indian society was suffering from many social evils, like dowry system was there, sati system was there, parda system was there, child marriages were there, polygamy, that means the same male marrying many women is called polygamy. Polygamy అంటే తెలుసు కదమ్మా? What do you mean by polygamy?
Sir.
What is that?
Sir, one man has two or more wives.
Yeah, more women.
Women.
If one person marrying many women, that is called as polygamy.
Polygamy.
What is monogamy?
Sir, only having one wife, sir.
Yeah. If a person marries only one lady, that is called, or one lady marrying one person, is called monogamy. So Brahma Samaj movement opposed polygamy and it insisted on monogamy. So all the Indian marriages should be monogamous marriages. Monogamous marriage means one husband, one wife. So that's called as the monogamous marriage. So he is opposite to polygamy and polyandry. If one woman marries many husbands, that is called as polyandry. And if one male marries many women, that's called polygamy. So he is opposed to both.
Polygamy.
He is opposed to polygamy and he is in favor of monogamous marriages. So 19th century Indian society is suffering from certain social evils. What are the social evils of 19th century?
Sir, sati, dowry, parda system, child marriages, polygamy. Sir, excuse me, sir, female infanticides sometimes.
Infanticides.
Female infanticides means if a girl child is born, previously their parents used to kill the girl child at the birth itself. At the birth itself, because the girl child involves a lot of expenditure, a lot of dowry has to be given. So this is how the girl child was not encouraged. And in some families, the girl child was not given nutritious food by the parents. As a result, with what is a deficiency of nutrition, the girl child used to die after some years. So this is how there was negligence of girl child. There was no nourishment or nursing of the girl child in good olden days. So this is how Indian society has also experienced the female infanticide. This is called, infant means small child. The female infanticide means the female child of the girl. The female child in the Indian society was never given her proper place in the family system, and there was a lot of discrimination against a woman child, and male child was always encouraged, and female children were not given nutritious food. They were discouraged. In some families, they were even killed by the parents. So this is how the female infanticide was there. This female infanticide is not just a feature of Indian society. This was there in many societies. Our neighboring Chinese society is there, and even West Asia and Europe. In some other countries also, female infanticide was there, but not exactly in the same form, but in different forms. So female infanticide was a universal phenomenon till 19th century, and women children were not at all encouraged by the parents. And some of the parents also used to kill the woman child also. So killing woman child either at the birth or at the childhood is called as female infanticide. So female infanticide was also one of the social evils of Indian society. So tell me, what are the social evils of Indian society?
Child marriages, polygamy, female infanticide, sati, dowry, parda system.
Parda system. So in upper caste class like Vaishya, Brahmin and Kshatriya, the women are not allowed to come out, and women are supposed to use their parda, and unless they use the parda, they are not allowed to come out their houses, and even after coming out their family, their house, they should wear the parda. So this is called as the parda system. So this is how there were a lot of restrictions in the 19th century society, and 19th century society was filled with so many social evils like sati, dowry, parda system, child marriages, polygamy, female infanticide. So these were some of the social evils, and Brahma Samaj was opposite to these things. Brahma Samaj opposed social evils like sati, dowry, parda system, child marriages, polygamy, female infanticide. These are the, and Brahma Samaj has no faith in any scripture as an authority. So we say Vedas, Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Bhagavatam, and Bhagavad Gita. These are the scriptures. And for Muslims, it is Quran, and for Christians, it is Bible. So Brahma Samaj believes that there is no one in scripture that is an authority, and all the scriptures are same. So that is also another important objective of this thing. And it rejects dogma and superstitions. What do you mean by dogma? Have you heard the word dogma at any time?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir. Please tell us.
Dogma means blind faith. Blind faiths are called as dogma.
Dogma.
They are also called as superstitions. So there are religious superstitions in 19th century, and people are believing in dogma. Dogma means blind faiths. And there are also superstitions. So these superstitions and dogmas always were at the cost of human life. Sometimes when a person is suffering from some disease, he was taken to a temple rather than to a doctor. So normally in 21st century and 20th century, we are scientific and we don't believe in dogma, and we don't have any, relatively we are not having much superstitions than 19th century people. But in 19th century, when a person is suffering from ill health or they used to take him to the temple instead of the hospital. So this is how there is always religious dogma and superstitions, and Brahma Samaj rejected the dogmas and superstitions. So this is an important objective of Brahma Samaj. And Brahma Samaj opposed totalitarianism. What do you mean by totalitarianism? Totalitarianism means total control of the individual by the government or by the society is called totalitarianism. Without giving freedom, individuals should be totally controlled by government or society or by state is called as totalitarianism. In fact, in history, we see totalitarian regimes like Nazism, fascism, communism in Russia. So these are called as the totalitarian empires, totalitarian regimes. So he wanted liberty to the people. He wanted equality to the people. That's why he is against to the idea of totalitarianism. And Brahma Samaj, as an objective of Brahma Samaj, it is against to the totalitarianism. And Brahma Samaj has become a socio-political movement at a later stage. Now let us just briefly see what are the objectives of Brahma Samaj at a glance. Brahma Samaj accepted secular principles. Brahma Samaj denounced polytheism and idol worship. Brahma Samaj is against to caste restrictions. Brahma Samaj opposed social evils like sati, dowry, parda system, child marriages, polygamy, female infanticide. And Brahma Samaj has no faith in any scripture as an authority. And Brahma Samaj rejected dogma and superstitions. And Brahma Samaj rejected totalitarianism. So these are the 7 important objectives of Brahma Samaj. Tell me, what are the main objectives of Brahma Samaj?
Sir, accept the secular principles.
Yeah.
Denounce polytheism and
idol worship. Against caste and restrictions. Oppose social evils like sati, dowry, parda system, child marriages,
polygamy, female infanticides.
right?
No faith
And
in
no
any
faith any
spiritual as an
spiritual and
authority,
authority, rejected
rejected dogma
dogma
and
and
superstition,
superstition,
rejected
Yes.
rejected
totalitarianism.
totalitarianism.
Totalitarianism. Totalitarianism.
Totalitarianism. Sorry, sir.
Totalitarianism. What do you mean by
Totalitarianism.
totalitarianism?
Blind faith, sir.
It's not blind faith.
Blind faith not, sir.
An
Is,
Not,
individual
sir.
is
Total
totally
control by the
controlled by
government.
government without
Sorry, sir.
liberty. Or if an individual is totally controlled by the state
State.
without freedom, it is called totalitarianism. In
Yes, sir.
history, we have Nazism started by Adolf Hitler in 19th century, at the beginning of 20th century, and fascism started by Benito Mussolini in 20th century in Italy, and Stalin's communism in Russia. These are considered as the totalitarian regimes. They have not allowed their citizens even a small amount of freedom also. So that is called as totalitarianism. But Brahma Samaj is opposing this. Brahma Samaj opposes totalitarianism because totalitarianism rejects human freedom, human rights, human liberties. So that's why human beings should be free. Human beings need to have freedom. Human beings need to have liberty and rights. That's why all the regimes that deny human freedom are rejected by Brahma Samaj. That's why it rejects the totalitarianism. So these are some of the objectives of Brahma Samaj. Now let us see, Brahma Samaj is a socio-political movement. What are the methods through which Brahma Samaj has conducted its campaign? The first one is, it tried to bring mass awareness against social evils. So it conducted meetings, it interacted with the people, it has started so many educational institutions, and it has debated with certain scholars, and it wanted to bring mass awareness among the evils, among the people on social evils. We have already studied what are the social evils that were there in the 19th century. So people should be aware that they are evils. They are not good for society. Child marriages, sati, female infanticide, parda system, and women not having education, and forced widowhood, sati, untouchability. So these are all the social evils. They are not good for society. And people should know that they are not good for the society. That's why Raja Ram Mohan Rai has brought a lot of social awareness among the people against the social evils. The first and foremost important aspect of Raja Ram Mohan Rai's social political movement is he brought awareness among the people. Unless people know about the social evils, they cannot reject them. So people should know what is good and what is bad. That's why he has propagated his views against the social evils and convinced the people that they are social evils. Sati is a social evil. Untouchability is a social evil. Child marriage is a social evil. Dowry system is a social evil. Parda system is a social evil. Forced widowhood is a social evil. Female infanticide is a social evil. So people should know that they are social evils. Unless people know, and unless we bring awareness among the people about the evil nature of these evils, otherwise people continuously implement these evils, follow these evils. That's why the first and foremost important activity that Brahma Samaj has taken up is, as a social and political movement, it started mass awareness program against the social evils. This is one thing. And secondly, Brahma Samaj also brought a movement against underage marriages, resulted in Special Marriage Act in 1872, which enhanced marriage age to 14 years. So previously there were child marriages throughout the country, and children at the age of 5 or even less, or between the age of 5 and 10, they used to get married, particularly the female child, the girl child, even before attaining her puberty, she used to get married to the nearest relative of the family. So this is how there are certain selfish interests in the families that make the child marriages. So Brahma Samaj opposed this. Brahma Samaj brought a big movement against the child marriages, and it also convinced the British government to have a special legislation banning the child marriages. That's how the British government has brought a legislation making 14 years as the minimum age for the marriages. 14 years is the minimum age. So below 14 years, it is considered as a child marriage. So Britishers have taken it up as 14 years as the marriageable age, and have considered all the marriages below the age of 14 years as child marriages. So this is all due to the efforts of Brahma Samaj. Brahma Samaj has brought in mass awareness among the people, and they have brought in a movement against underage marriages that resulted in Special Marriages Act in 1872, and through which act the British government enhanced the marriage age to 14 years. So this is how it's a very good activity that Brahma Samaj movement has brought in. And thirdly, female infanticide prevention movement resulted in Prevention Act in 1872. In fact, 1872 is a landmark in the history of India. Many social reform legislations under the British government were enacted in 1872. So in 1872, Female Infanticide Act also has come, through which the British government has banned and it prevented the female infanticide in 1872. So this is another important act. And the movement against sati led to Lord William Bentinck's sati regulation in 1829. In fact, Brahma Samaj was started in 1828. Within 1 year of its movement, it has brought mass awareness against sati, and the Governor General of British rule in India, William Bentinck, has brought sati regulation in 1829. He prohibited the system of sati in 1829. So these are the acts that were the results of the Brahma Samaj movement. And it also brought mass awareness on women education. So yes, it has also brought a lot of awareness campaign on women education also. In fact, women needed to be educated. Unless the women are educated, the family cannot be educated. That's how he said mass awareness on women education is also one of the important aspects. Now let us briefly see what are the results of Brahma Samaj movement. Among the results of the Brahma Samaj movement, we see the mass awareness against the social evils. It has brought in a lot of awareness among the people on social evils. So unless people are aware of the social evils, it is very difficult to convince the people against the social evils. There are social evils like sati is there, child marriages are there, and parda system is there, female infanticide is there. So against these evils, he has brought in mass awareness. Mass awareness, the Brahma Samaj movement has brought mass awareness among the people. While doing awareness programs in the people, it has brought awareness, that's why it acted as a social movement. While convincing the government for a reform legislation, it has become a political movement. So Brahma Samaj is both a social movement and a political movement. How Brahma Samaj is a social movement?
Mass awareness against social evils.
Yeah, it has brought awareness among the social evils. That's why it has brought social movement among the people. How it can be called as a political movement?
So, keeping meetings for education of women's. Hello?
No, it has become a political movement because it convinced the government on the need to have progressive legislations. Due to Brahma Samaj movement's pressure only, the government has brought progressive legislations. They have banned all the social evils. So the movement for influencing the government on progressive legislations is called as political movement. So Brahma Samaj movement is a political movement because it has brought pressure on the government to ban the social evils through various legislations. So all the British legislations or the progressive legislations are the result of Brahma Samaj movement. So that's why it influenced the government on banning the social evils and enacting certain laws that ban the social movements, the social evils. That's why it is called as political movement. So in convincing the people, it is a social movement. In convincing the government, it's a political movement. You must understand both the sides.
Yes, sir.
Why it is a political movement? It
Convincing
convinces the government on the need to have social reform, and it urged the government to ban all the social evils through legislations. So it brought pressure on the government. So in influencing the government, in pressurizing the government, and in forcing the government to enact social reform legislations, it acted as a political movement. And in convincing the people and in bringing awareness among the people, it acted as a social movement.
Social movement.
So that is the difference between a social movement and a political movement. As a political movement, it brought awareness among the people. Sorry, as a social movement, it brought awareness among the masses. As a political movement, it has pressurized the government for legislations, for social reform. So this is how it is both a political movement and a social movement. So this is how social reform movement has brought mass awareness against the social evils, and it has also brought a movement against the underage marriages, resulted in Special Marriage Act in 1872, which enhanced the marriage age to 14 years. Till 1872, marriages were done at any age of the child. Some families have even done the marriages even at the time of birth also. For infant marriages were also there. So Special Marriage Act 1872 has enhanced the age of marriages to 14 years. Any marriage performed below the age of 14 years is considered as an offense by the British government. So this is the first act that prohibited the child marriages. So this is due to Brahma Samaj movement. Brahma Samaj movement as a political movement pressurized the government to ban all the marriages that are held below the age of 14 years. So that's why it is called as a political movement. And likewise, Brahma Samaj movement has influenced the government to ban female infanticide. So female infanticide was also banned in Prevention Act of 1872. So this is how the Brahma Samaj movement also has forced the government to bring a law against the Sati Sahagaman, and William Benting has brought Sati Regulations Act in 1829. And it has also brought in mass awareness on women education. So friends, please tell me why Brahma Samaj movement is a social movement and why Brahma Samaj movement is a political movement.
Brahma Samaj is a social movement because it influences the peoples against the social evils, and
Right.
awareness about the social evils between the peoples, and
Wonderful.
social political movement because pressuring the government
against this
against the social evils and take the preventions according to social evils.
Wonderful. So as a result of its political nature of the movement, it has forced the government to legislate, to make laws against the social evils. So it forced the government to make law against the social evils. So Sati Prohibition Act, Child Marriage Prohibition Act, Underage Marriage Prohibition Act. So these are the acts that were due to the pressures of the Brahma Samaj movement. So Brahma Samaj movement is both a political movement and also a social movement. And it has also brought mass awareness on women education. So Brahma Samaj always believed that women and men are same, women and men are equal, And God has endowed the human being, whether it is male gender or female gender, all the human beings are endowed with equal opportunities, equal capacities, equal intelligence, equal physical features, and everything. So, gender discrimination is man-made, but the differentiation on the basis of sex is the natural differentiation. Nature has created men and women, but it is only the human being that has created gender inequalities. So that's why Brahma Samaj wanted people to believe this, and it encouraged women education, and it wanted women freedom. Now let us briefly evaluate Brahma Samaj movement and Raja Ram Mohan Roy. And many people believe that Brahma Samaj movement is an upper caste movement. It has not percolated itself into lower castes. In fact, till Mahatma Jyotiba Phule established Satyasodhak Samaj for the welfare of the lower castes, particularly scheduled castes and scheduled tribes and backward castes. All the other social movements are confined to only Brahmin communities. It has brought reforms in Brahmins, it has brought reforms in Kshatriyas, it has brought reforms in Vaishya communities. So that's why Brahma Samaj movement is always branded. In fact, it was viewed as an upper caste movement. And, hello?
Sir.
It was considered more as an upper caste movement. Of course,
Yes,
in the 19th century, it started with upper caste movement, but in course of time, it might have penetrated itself into lower caste, but the movement stopped somewhere, and it confined itself only to upper class movement. And secondly, Brahma Samaj movement is very friendly with the British government.
Colonial government.
Yeah, colonial government, the British government. In fact, we are opposing British government and we wanted political independence. People like Mahatma Gandhi, they led the nationalist movement and freedom struggle against the British government. But Brahma Samaj movement was friendly with the British government, and due to this friendliness with the British government, it was successful in bringing the social reform legislations like Underage Marriage Prohibition Act, Child Marriage Prohibition Act, Sati Prohibition Act, and for establishing the women educational institutions. So this is all due to the friendly nature of Brahma Samaj with the colonial government. So on the whole, it was more friendly with the British government, colonial government. And thirdly, Brahma Samaj movement is the forerunner of all the social movements in India. So after Brahma Samaj, many social movements have come. Arya Samaj, Satyasodhak Samaj, Prarthana Samaj, Divigyan Samaj. So all these other movements, other social movements have come after the Brahma Samaj. So Brahma Samaj movement has motivated many social movements in India. So friends, these are some of the findings of Brahma Samaj and Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So if we make a critical evaluation of Brahma Samaj and Raja Ram Mohan Roy, we can definitely say Raja Ram Mohan Roy is the pioneer of Indian Renaissance. He is the father of Indian Renaissance. He is the father of Indian liberalism, and he has initiated mass awareness program against the social evils, and he has started Brahma Samaj with the noble objectives, and not only started, he has also propagated among the people on the evils of social society, and he has also forced the British government to bring certain political reforms, social reforms in the Indian society. So it is not amazing, or it is not astonishing to say that Brahma Samaj is the forerunner of all the social movements in India in 19th century, and Raja Ram Mohan Roy has a fixed place in the Indian political thought, particularly the modern Indian political thought, as a social reformer and as an Indian liberal who laid down the foundation for liberty and equality and for a democratic polity in India. Thank you very much, friends.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
And you may get some questions also in this lesson.
Yes, sir.
What are the political and social ideas of Brahma Samaj?
Yes, sir.
What are the social and political ideas of Raja Ram Mohan Roy?
Okay.
What are the objectives of Brahma Samaj movement?
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
what are the important achievements of Brahma Samaj movements? So these questions may be asked as essay type questions. And
Sir, can
sometimes
you please
questions
repeat
like
that questions,
short
please?
answer questions also may come. Social evils in India. What are the social evils in India? And Brahma Samaj may also be asked as a short answer question. Okay, na Baba?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, friend.
much.
We'll meet in the next class.
Yes, sir. Good
Thank
evening,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening.
Thank
And
you,
you
sir.
please ask your friends to join the class more in numbers.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay,
Baba.
Thank you, sir.
ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే చెప్పండి బాబు.
6 AM క్లాసెస్ ఎప్పటి నుంచి ఉంటాయి సార్?
సార్ ఇప్పుడు ఇంకా మిగతా క్లాసెస్ కూడా ఉంటాయి సార్, అంటే సబ్జెక్ట్స్ యూనిట్ 7, యూనిట్ 8, యూనిట్ 9 అవన్నీ ఉన్నాయి కదా సార్?
దానికి సెకండ్ స్పెల్ లో చెప్తారు బాబు. వీ హ్యావ్
అచ్చా.
సెకండ్ స్పెల్ విత్ 6 more క్లాసెస్.
సార్.
సో ఇంకో 6 more క్లాసెస్ ఉంటాయి.
ఓకే, ఓకే సార్.
ఇప్పుడు మనం కావాలంటే ఈ 6 క్లాసెస్ లోనే అంతా కంప్లీట్ చేయవచ్చు, కానీ అది మంచిది కాదు.
సార్. ఎస్ సార్.
ఒక్కొక్క లెసన్ ఈజ్ వెరీ రీజనబుల్.
ఎస్
So
సార్.
that's why I have taken one lesson per one class.
ఎస్ సార్.
And in the coming classes, there are 6 more classes, I believe. And in the 6 more classes, we'll have 7 more lessons. We'll definitely complete the syllabus. Okay?
ఓకే సార్. ఓకే సార్.
And
థ్యాంక్ యూ
you
సార్.
please take the running notes
ఎస్
for
సార్.
all the slides I am showing.
సార్.
Okay, na Babu?
ఓకే సార్.
PDF ఫార్మాట్ లో దొరుకుతుందా సార్ ఇది? మాకు నోట్స్ అంటే ప్రిపేర్ చేసుకోలేము, రన్నింగ్ నోట్స్.
My open university వాళ్ళు అందరికి సప్లై చేస్తారు బాబు. They'll give you. In fact, these lessons are converted as video lessons, and they want to telecast these lessons on daily basis. Kabatti, be in touch with the Open University.
Yes, sir.
They'll meet. Okay, Babu. Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you for very valuable time, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.